Hello and welcome to Psychgeist, where we talk about the psychology of the era, the science of games. I am your host, Dr. Rachel Cohort, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about girl gamers. Yeah, those ones. And these ones. And the ones talked about here. So what do we know about so-called girl gamers? Where did that moniker come from, and why does it feel so icky? Logically, it seems that girl gamers would simply refer to girls who play games. However, it's not that simple. The term girl gamer is less associated with girls who game and more associated with this idea of over-sexualized, casual, game-loving girl gamers. Perhaps unsurprisingly, many women do not want to be associated with the term gamer or girl gamer and actively avoid these terms. A 2015 Pew Research study reported that only 6% of women identify as a gamer, as opposed to 15% of the male counterparts in the survey. So let's take a look at these main associations with the term girl gamer: hyperfemininity and casual gaming. It's unclear how the term girl gamer came to be associated with hyperfemininity, but one suggestion is that a lack of role models for female gamers has contributed to this idea that you must be super feminine in order to maintain credibility as a female gamer, and you must fit within some kind of caricatured role of a girl gamer in order to be accepted. This idea is further reinforced by the wide array of girl gamer pornographic images that live on the internet. It is equally unclear how girl gamer has come to be associated with casual gaming, and why casual gaming in and of itself is not considered to be quote-unquote gaming in some way, as casual games are somehow thought to be less than, less valuable, less credible than other kinds of gaming. It's perhaps not surprising then that it would also be associated with the idea of being a girl gamer. As discussed by John Vanderhoof in his article Casual Threats: The Feminization of Casual Video Games, quote, "Once linked with popular culture, casual games become discursive representations of passive consumption and femininity for hardcore gamers, and as a result are treated by a significant number in the gaming community as either threatening because they supposedly herald the end of so-called hardcore games, or irrelevant because casual games do not count as legitimate game experiences. The cultural opposite of casual games, hardcore games, are thus paired with masculinity and celebrated as the authentic and superior game design and experience." Small side note here, I've always found it strange that casual gaming in and of itself is considered less than. It's always struck me as odd. Casual games are games. Technically, casual games are just games that do not require a lot of time or special skills in order to complete. So when you play Bejeweled or you play Yummy Gummies, which is one of my favorites, it doesn't make you any less of a gamer as playing the Untitled Goose Game, League of Legends, or the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Whether you consider yourself a gamer or not, that is, whether you consider yourself a member of the social community of gamers, the gamer and girl gamer is a different question, unrelated to the kinds of games you play and or how often you do so. But for more on that, see my previous jargon schmargon on gamer identities. There is also this related idea of girl games, as discussed in the Parade article that I showed earlier in this video. So girl gamer is hyper-feminine, a casual game player that prefers playing games covered in pink and rainbows, which again, not that I'm saying I don't like that. But I am far less a band dream girls band party, as per that Parade article suggestion, than I am a Green Day rock band. What can I say? I love Billy Joe. Before moving on, we also need to address the use of the term girl and girl gamer. All female gamers are not under the age of 18, and many are full-grown women. The use of the term girl is inherently age-linked and, in my opinion, further devalues the position of female gamers within the gaming community as a whole. So here's the thing. Women are not a monolithic block of gamers. And because of that, I prefer this perspective on girl gamers, or as she notes, female gamers, put forward by Sherry Garner-Ray. Quote, "There is no definition of a female gamer, and trying to tack a label to them does a disservice. The female gamer is simply a female who plays games. She's just as diverse as any other market out there." Does no definition count as a definition? I'm not sure, but since I run the show here, I'm going to say it does. So what do we actually know about women who play games? Well, video game play has historically been a male-dominated activity activity. Females now constitute more than 40% of the American game playing community, a proportion that has been generally increasing over the last 10 years. An international comparison of video game player demographic has also found there is a gender gap in the diffusion rate of playing that is actually not that large anymore. Research has found generally that male and female game preferences differ. Females prefer simulation games, males prefer action and fighting games, but that said, these trends are broad strokes. There are plenty of women who like playing all kinds of genres. Females enjoy and do play everything, from The Sims to Yummy Gummies to competitive StarCraft 2, Dead or Alive, and Fortnite. Interestingly, one place in which male and female gamers do differ significantly is the way that men and women treat playing video games as a hobby. Men are more likely to consider it their primary hobby, whereas women are more likely to regard playing video games as a less important hobby as compared to other things like watching television. However, part of this might be due to the way that games are socialized by gender from an early age. From as early as kindergarten, video game play is typically seen as a more appropriate activity for boys than for girls. This sex stereotyping has been found to extend into adulthood, as adult males and females report video game play to be more of a male-centric activity. These beliefs are further reinforced by the children's environment, as homes with a male child have been found to be more likely to own a video game console than homes with a female child. An activity that is male-dominated and perceived as more appropriate for males, from which the point one can first hold a game controller or navigate a keyboard, the physical context in which games are played quickly becomes excluding for females. With games considered a boy's toy, females are more likely to be left out of play, and if they do participate, are more likely to be rejected by their peers for engaging in behaviors that are stereotypically male. As explained by Muller and colleagues, quote, "Children who do not exhibit gender-appropriate behavior are viewed as not fulfilling their gender role and are considered an anomaly. Such children may be actively rejected and alienated from their peers. Thus, young men are generally socially reinforced to engage in video game play, while young women are often discouraged from engaging in the same, as it's a cross-sex stereotyped activity. As such, video games provide opportunities for young boys to meet social needs and needs for inclusion, but don't quite do the same for female gamers. This socialization of games as a boy's toy has led to video games being perceived as male-centric activities, hence the stereotype of a young male gamer, and the exclusion of females from participating at an early age. This might also contribute to what I mentioned earlier, that many women do not identify as a gamer despite the fact that many women play games. There's also the issue of representation of female in games and the gaming industry. Women are vastly underrepresented in all levels of the video game industry and make up only 22% of the employees within it. There are likely many reasons for this: less likely to acquire early acquisition of game knowledge because of the sex stereotyping I mentioned earlier, gender differences in pursuing degrees in STEM, etc. However, in part due to the underrepresentation of women in game development, the video game industry has largely failed to provide game content that is relevant and relatable for female players. Content analyses of video games have consistently found women to be largely underrepresented within the medium. For example, a 2001 study found that only 16% of all video game players are female, with half of them being portrayed as props or bystanders. In 2002, Beasley and Stanley found similar results when they coded the characters in 47 video games that were randomly selected from the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation consoles. Of the almost 600 game characters that they identified and coded, only 13.74%, 82, were female. Of the few female characters, even fewer were female protagonists. However, of the female protagonists that do exist, they were portrayed vastly different to their male counterpart. For example, the large majority of female characters in video games expose more skin than male characters. In 2007, Dill and Thill found that 39% of female characters are likely to be scantily clad as compared to 8% of male game characters. Downs and Smith found that female characters were 10 times more likely to be shown as nude, partial, or full than male characters. These clothing differences are not trivial, as clothing can be viewed as a prime indicator of your roles in society, even in video games. Taken together, these gender socialization processes and underrepresentation of women in the industry and gaming content has likely contributed to the cultivation of sexist beliefs and attitudes, including gaming cultures, both in gaming spaces and the gaming industry. Apart from being a deterrent for female players, the under- and misrepresentation of female characters in games might also have an impact on the attitudes and beliefs of the players, and lead to things like generating this idea of girl gamers. As proposed by cultivation theory, long-term media consumption can influence a user's view of the world and contribute to changes in real-world beliefs, attitudes, and actions towards the one that's being represented in media content. We've seen similar effects when looking at the research at how mental health is portrayed in movies and television. While cultivation theory was originally developed to explain the impact of television and film, it has since been expanded to include video games. Now, there's actually less evidence that game content itself cultivates sexism, but there is research to suggest that gaming cultures within games and within the industry are spaces where discrimination towards women is commonplace and potentially cultivated. Various elements of toxic gamer culture, such as sexist and misogynistic climate of online gaming environments, have been well documented. Websites such as Not in the Kitchen Anymore and Fat, Ugly, and Slutty have archived some of the offensive, sexist, and misogynistic comments that have been directed towards female game players for years. Content warning, they are a lot. Researchers have also dominated the presence of sexist, misogynistic, and offensive behavior in gaming communities. An informal survey of online gamers in 2012 found that almost 80% of respondents believe sexism is prominent in the gaming community, with women being 4 times more likely than male players to experience sex-based taunting or harassment. Similarly, in a survey of World of Warcraft players, more than 60% of the female respondents said they had experienced sexism or misogynistic behavior from other players, while only 11% of male respondents reported similar experiences. For more on this, see my previous state of the research on toxic behavior in games and gaming cultures. Taken together, the gender socialization, the lack of women in the gaming industry, and the potential cultivation of sexist beliefs and attitudes in gamer cultures, this can create a cycle of women being excluded from games, from gaming cultures, and from the industry. It has contributed to women gamers, female gamers, not being thought of as an equal member of the gaming community, but some kind of pre-packaged box of casual games wrapped in glitter and topped with a big bow labeled girl gamers. So what's the takeaway here? Girls play games, women play games, female play games, all kinds of games, from young and old, every body shape, every aesthetic style, from casual gamer to professional esports competitor. The idea of a girl gamer is not a thing, except for when you search on the internet looking for those kinds of special pictures. Stop putting female players in a box because we're not a niche cliche category. They're just as diverse as any group of male gamers and deserve to be respected and included in the community of gamers that we all love so much. For a community that at its core is open and welcoming community, they sure do not seem to be particularly welcoming to their better half. You know, girl gamers. If you like this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe. And until next time, be excellent to each other and always cite your sources.